A new Australian film is now available as a digital release, courtesy of Bounty Films. And the film I'm talking about is Girls' Night Out. And it's my great pleasure to be speaking to the writer-director of Girls' Night Out, Damian Hussey. Damian, welcome to Movie Metropolis.
Thank you.
Now, such an intriguing film because it's not often we see a film that deals with, I suppose, women's relationships, alcohol, and a bit of a lesson in there somewhere, which we won't spoil. Um, whereas the focus seems to be on men. So, tell me about the origins of this film.
So yeah, the origins were a kind of for myself a little bit of a farewell to that lifestyle. And as I was reflecting on my old days where I used to go party and clubbing and things, and all the times where, as a guy, I could go and walk home at night. I could go and be in a random city on my own and not really feel unsafe at all. But as a female, you hear stories of yeah, they're always on guard. You couldn't just walk home at night, and horrible stories where something bad has actually happened. So that's kind of the origins of it, of just reflecting on all the times where I felt safe and bad situations haven't occurred. But if it had been the reverse, yeah, like could have gone very dark, like for a female person in the real world, unfortunately.
Yes, exactly. So tell me about fashioning the screenplay because it is a fairly intricate screenplay, especially with the two women and the ramifications of the friendships and other things that they have.
Yeah, so it is a slice of life film, so it's based around this like this one night out where all of their decisions, while not necessarily wrong or bad or anything, they all have consequences. So they don't make bad choices throughout the night, but all their decisions, their relationships, and the people they encounter, it does build up to where like the climax happens. So they're not necessarily irresponsible, but like if they had made some separate decisions or some not necessarily better, like the ending wouldn't have happened. So a lot of the actual individual situations are kind of taken from my life. Some times when I've been out, I've had people watch it and have said, "Oh, it's like it's unrealistic." And I'm like, "Oh, that actually did kind of happen." As other people who don't believe people behave that way out at night from alcohol, and other people were like, "Oh, that's a very tame night." So like, there's the whole spectrum of yeah, of like the from the audience point of view, but like the whole mapping it out, I kind of knew where I wanted to end, and like what would be some situations or some circumstances or decisions that would lead up to that from just an innocent, hey, let's go out and just have a good night out to getting to that unfortunately bad situation at the end.
Okay, no, that's fair enough. In fact, I found it a fairly naturalistic sort of setting and screenplay, etc. Did you find as you were making the film, directing the film, that dialogue or bits of the story changed or developed?
Yes and no a little bit. So like the script was is pretty. I'm going to say 95% was stuck to what the script was. But Emily and Steph, who play the two lead characters, Brie and Abby, they did spend quite a bit of time and developing a friendship before we started filming. So they were able to go and like strengthen the characters, and they actually had a good relationship. So I think that translated on film where like their dynamic that was like the core their friendship, so they did have a good bond going like in real life, and then that translated, so they were able to strengthen some of the conversations and the dialogue and just bring their own touches to it, so which I was completely like free for them to do that.
Okay, excellent. I'll talk more about them in a moment. I wanted to ask you about financing. How easy was it for you to make the film? Because I gather this is your second feature film. Uh, yeah.
Second feature film, still very indie. Um,
Yep.
it's very difficult to get a budget. So that's like it was always a part of when writing an indie feature of being like, okay, cool, what can you actually achieve on a very, very limited budget? So a big chunk of it came out of my own pocket. I believe putting my money where my mouth is. So some of it came out of my own pocket. Some other friends and family were able to chip in. So it was all private investment. We did I can apply for a few grants and government things, but there's not a whole lot of help there for the super indie side of things. So most people were working for free, so it's deferred payments. Like if we can make a good return later down the track, they'll all get paid. But the film was more so we all saw it as being okay. This is a good stepping stone for it. It's for us all. It's a story we want to tell, and like as a proof of concept for okay, cool. Later we've achieved this. We've achieved other films. Now we can hopefully go and get bigger budgets to tell more expansive stories in the future.
Okay, that's fair enough. I was amusing to myself whether you approach any alcohol companies for sponsorship.
I did. There's a lot of there's some a lot of laws regarding like what can be promoted and things like for real companies, and also it's not. I'm not going to say it's a negative alcohol film, but it's not really pro either. So it's like for someone to put their brand to it and for like the consequences of all of that, I can totally see why you would not want to. So like didn't get a whole lot of bites on that side of things. And so I personally made up a lot of like the alcohol labels and like we made all my own branding and things like that. So it made it a lot easier than the chasing down and trying to get like sponsorships from that. But we did like the places that we shot, like they were all very supportive, and like the one of the first pubs that we went to, it allowed us to shoot there for free. So
Ah,
that was really good, and we just kind of like set decorated all ourselves.
and we're talking about, is it the Gold Coast that the film was shot?
Yeah, all shot around the Gold Coast in 2022. So 2 years, just over 2 years, 3 years ago almost now, actually, 2025 now. Yeah.
Okay, very good. And did you use a single camera for coverage, or did you find sometimes you had to use two?
So it was a pretty quick shoot. So I think we were 18 days total. So most of it was single cam, but there was, I guess, any of the small bits of action that was multicam, and also some of the longer dialogue scenes and the dancing scenes. We had two cameras going the whole time. So I've got two Blackmagic cameras. So they're both, it was good to be able to just quickly have either both going, or if it needed like moving shots from the gimbal, I would just quickly put one down, pick another one up, and it made it a lot easier to film, and like we could get through things a lot faster as well.
Okay, how interesting to hear all that. Now, let's go back to the two women, the central casting of the two main characters, and how did you find them? And as you said, I think you worked with them before you started shooting.
Yeah, so at the time, myself and Emily, who's one of the lead characters, we were dating, so it made it very easy to cast her. And so we knew Steph and Paris, who actually plays Marcus, one of the other guys in it. So we kind of approached them, and they all co-produced as well. So we were able to all work together quite a bit in pre-production. And at the time, yeah, I used to work at a college called the New York Film Academy. So we had access to a lot of actors through that side of things, and a lot of people we'd already worked with. So it was good to just already call upon people that we knew. And we did put a casting call out for like on Star Now and just Facebook and social media, and we contacted a few agents. So we're able to get other actors that way as well, and pretty happy overall with the talent that we got, considering no one got paid yet.
Yes, yet, right, I like that. Well, hopefully with the digital release, there might be some comeback in terms of some money financing, whatever. Yeah.
That's always the goal. Yeah, it's a bonus.
Yes, yes. Now, in terms of the rest of the casting, because there are some other characters in the film who are fairly critical, I suppose, to the way the plot develops. How easy was it to, oh, as you said, the New York Film Academy?
Yeah, it wasn't really a difficult casting process. We'd had a couple of audition days, like so we got a lot of people to send in self tapes as well. Um, the Without giving away spoilers, like there is
Mm.
a character who is a very dark character. We were very upfront about, okay, this is where this character is actually going to go to. We had a few people who weren't really interested in doing that, which was fine. The guy who did play him was excellent. It's like, so we're able to like spend a lot of time really discussing, okay, like this is pretty dark, it's pretty intense where we're going to go. And he is actually a big theater actor, and he's been doing like really well. So like we're really good, really lucky to get him at the time, and yeah, can't be happier really with how it turned out.
Yes, no, no, it's a good cast. They all work together very well, especially the two lead women. I like the sort of running gag that's in the film about a particular spirit or alcohol or whatever that one of the women gets that keeps changing in price. I thought, is that
Yes.
is that based on an experience?
Yeah, I think a lot of people can relate to that, that either one not being able to get service at the bar, even if you're just there. So you try to get a bar and just the prices change constantly. And um, yeah, you can get very focused on it. Like one of the, I guess, underlying things is you don't get smarter when you've been drinking. So you don't really like you might start to like really get, wait, does this cost like 10 cents more than it did last time, a dollar more? And it
Yeah.
becomes a big deal for you. So yeah, definitely some real life little yeah, bits added in there, sprinkled throughout.
Okay, okay. Now, I'm quite intrigued. Has the film been shown overseas and elsewhere in terms of what reactions you've been getting?
Not yet. So it's with a distributor, Bounty Films. So yeah, it is on available on DVD and Blu-ray as well. So they did say that it is getting dubbed currently as well, which is good. So it's very, very early days. Very interested to see how it feels. I know it's going to be a bit divisive as well, the film with the content and everything, which is good because it was never intended to please everybody, kind of telling a bit of story here. So very interested for when it gets to that point, like how overseas audiences do react.
Okay, all right. Yeah, it'd be interesting to get feedback and get
Mm.
responses. It's yeah, quite an intriguing film that does have that comedy slash drama aspect to it, and I
Yeah,
always like a bit of a twist in the story. So yes, it's well developed.
yeah. It's not meant to be necessarily a straight comedy. It's a bit of a dark comedy, but it's not necessarily a comedy. It's a drama at the same time. So it is a bit of a
Yeah.
like what genre do you quite put it in? So that's where slice of life kind of is probably the easiest. Cautionary tale is like where we go. But
Yes,
I don't know if that's actually a genre in itself, but yeah.
it is cautionary tale. Tell me, did you see any other films, or were there any other filmmakers that inspired the way you approached Girls' Night Out?
Yeah, I did look at like quite a few different films. There's a film from I can't remember if it's early 2000s or late 90s called Go, that's based around like a night out of these guys, and it revolves around drugs and like them trying to get money and stuff like that. So those kind of films, I think, is Fruitvale Station was
Oh,
another one where
Fruitvale.
it's
Yep,
like based around like how did it Fruitvale Station, yeah, really great little film.
yep.
Like so kind of like everything leads up to a point. Like and how did they get there? That's kind of like the idea which I liked of like a tragedy occurs. What led up to that? Like what circumstances? And the people who come out the other side will always look back and go, oh, what little thing could have changed to for it not to have happened any of one of these things? But I mean that's life. Just you can't always go and change things. So that's yeah, kind of like the overall like idea, I guess, behind the actual story.
Okay, fair enough. And I know your previous feature film was The Lost One, I think it was. Um,
Yes.
Tell me about that and how you were able to make that first feature.
So yeah, the Lost One, we shot that in 2000, as COVID was beginning. So gave ourselves a challenge, but we also had lots of time up our sleeve for that. And that idea, like I kind of do like I guess the psychological thriller side of things because that's based around like child abuse and in like more on the like the Jeffrey Epstein stuff was going on at the time, and like I think we all feel pretty strongly about it. But it was approached to be like, okay, how would you actually react if someone that you knew as a child got either abused or something happened? Like I feel like it's very easy to go and say I would do this or I would do that, but what would you actually do? Like how would a vigilante actually what's their origin story? Because that's kind of that. So it's like that's where the Lost One came into existence at that time is kind of my reaction to that whole world because it's like ideally living in a world that stuff wouldn't happen, similar to Girls' Night Out. But I was just like, okay, like how could I tell this story about abuse that does happen and someone who reacts in a certain way that would logically get to that point?
Fair enough, fair enough. That yes. So I can see a sort of continuation in your second feature in terms of that sort of story development aspect.
Yeah, a little bit of a social commentary, like my how I feel about it at the time. Like you
Yeah.
take on board yourself, like you put a bit of yourself into characters as well as you go. Like I could maybe not live out fantasies, but like how would I react and like try to logically go, okay, well if this happened to me or someone who I knew, I'd hope I would behave in an appropriate manner. Like, now is just grow and learn in life and all that. So yeah, that's the Lost one was yeah, that was a big challenge, like because of COVID, because of all everything that was going on at the time. But yeah, got that out. That's out in North America now, and they're hoping to take that further, the distribution for that side of things. But yeah, all the indie side of things, like they're just like tell the best story you possibly can for basically no money, make it look like it's got a budget as well. Hopefully, they don't look like they're for the price we actually did, the dollar figure that we spent on them. And then hopefully in the future, we can go and get a bigger budget to go, okay, this is what we can do for this amount of money. Give us a bit more money and we can go and do even more.
Yes. Well, my view is always it's about the story rather than having a big budget or anything like that. So if you can tell a good
Yeah.
story, then that's more
Yeah.
than half
Have
the battle.
engaging characters
Yeah.
and yeah, maybe get some thought provoking dialogue going afterwards as well. Like, yeah, I'm all about it.
Okay. Excellent. So, Damien, I'm quite intrigued. I know you've made a number of short films. You've been involved in the film industry for a while. I notice a credit that you have for Thor Ragnarok. Tell me about what attracted you to the to being a filmmaker and to working in the film industry.
Um, I was very directionless when I was younger. I joined the army, the Australian Army. So I was in the army for several years. So I got a trade. But while I was in the army, some of my friends that I'd made, we were just making our own little films. And I didn't know it at the time, but I really enjoyed it and taught myself how to edit. And we were just kind of just silly films. I would just like nothing, but like everyone starts somewhere. So then once I'd discharged, I didn't really know what to do, and I had a job which I didn't hate, didn't love, but I was just like, well, what can I do that I enjoy and actually get paid for it? So that's where I started seriously thinking about film school. So I did a big career change, and that slowly just led to like the journey. I never really considered myself for quite a while to be a director, but like I started really enjoying cinematography and storytelling and writing, and then it just kind of happened where my director for the Lost One pulled out, so I stepped across and directed myself, and then I just like now I'm like, okay, cool. If I want to tell these stories, got to tell it myself, and I really enjoy it.
Oh, excellent. Just following on from that, what's your next project?
Right now, actually, I'm also writing a comic. So it's based upon one of my earlier scripts, a post-apocalyptic story. So issue two is about to come out. Issue three has just started like its illustrations. So big focus is the comic at the moment. So it's called Gunpowder. So hopefully I can keep going that. There's five issues I really want to get made. Story wise, writing wise, like I'm constantly always writing. I haven't decided what my next film is that I'm going to actually make myself yet. I'm the more I do, the more I'm learning my own process of like I feel like I have to go and write a whole bunch of different scripts, and then eventually I'll be like, that's the one, and then I'll really be able to put all of my like attention into that. But to 2024, I still love being behind the camera as a cinematographer. So I was a cinematographer on another film, The Girl Behind the Screen, was shot here on the Gold Coast. So I'm helping Lawrence, the director, out with that as well. So hopefully that comes out later this year, probably now. Yeah, so I just enjoy being involved in anything like creative, really. Like, so I teach as well. So that's, yeah, anything I can still get some kind of creative outlet, even if it is just helping other people, I'm fine with that.
Oh, excellent. So that's very multifaceted of you. That's really interesting to hear. So well done, Damien. And I
Thanks.
must ask you, have you seen any films of late? they could be Australian, they could be overseas films, whatever, that impressed you?
Um, the last film I saw at the cinema was Gladiator 2. Um, I quite enjoyed it. I know that it got a lot of like pushback and people had different mixed feelings and everything like that, but I quite enjoyed it. Like I feel like it would have got a lot better reception if the first Gladiator film didn't exist because you're comparing it to that. Um, so yeah, Gladiator 2 was like the last one where like, and especially a few of the scenes in the Colosseum with the sharks and stuff, like I don't really care too much about the historical side of things. Like that's impressive. Like and I'm a really big fan of like Ridley Scott. So yeah, I mean that's probably the last one that comes to mind straight away. Yeah, that I really
Okay.
enjoyed.
I get the impression that in Queensland and Gold Coast studios and all that, that there is a lot of activity happening with overseas filmmakers or companies wanting to make films in Australia, and which in turn will attract more Australian filmmakers to make films, I suppose.
Yeah, there's it's a great time for which is what we tell the students as well. It's a great time to get into the industry here, especially in Queensland, Southeast Queensland, because they're just building another studio between the Gold Coast and Brisbane. There is Brisbane Studios. There's Warner Village Roadshow down here, and it's booked out for I think the next 4 years. So there is constant films getting made, like international films and smaller ones as well. But just with technology now, the fact that you can get like a good camera for basically nothing, you can go and film something, as you said, if you've got a decent story. Yeah, you can just shoot. So there's constantly around the coast. If you're driving around the Gold Coast here, you're always seeing someone out filming, whether it's got big production trucks or it's just someone with a van and a couple of people. There is lots going on, and it is just attracting more and more, which is great.
Oh, that's excellent news. And I must also ask you about when you screened Girls' Night Out to your cast. Um, uh, how did they respond?
Yeah, they really liked it. Obviously, they're in it, so they get to see themselves. I don't think everybody knew exactly, especially like the ending. Like, it can be pretty intense. The ending of it. Not all actors knew exactly where it was going to end up, so it was a bit of a shock for them. Um, but yeah, everyone had a good reaction to it who worked on it, and it did screen at the Gold Coast Film Festival, and it was interesting as we were leaving being able to listen to different reactions because there was some people saying like yeah like it was great and it did get that conversation other like that it's unbelievable that wouldn't happen, no one would react that way, and like I find that interesting because a lot of it is yeah it's true, and other people said oh it's too tame so it's yeah, like trying to find that line there. But yeah, the cast and crew, everyone was really happy with what we were able to achieve, especially because it was such a condensed, pretty quick shoot.
Yes, yes. No, well done on that. It's how interesting to get feedback and to get reactions from the audience, and you'll always get different sorts of reactions. But having a film that seems to be a discussion starter, at the very least, for an audience after they've seen the film, I think serves a great purpose. So well done on that.
Yeah. No, thanks. Because at the end, we do put a few statistics up as well, and we had a couple of discussions about that, like of how to actually end it. And there's a bit of a flash forward as well. Is that real? Is it not real? Like, do we really cement in like, what is that, or do we leave it up to the audience? So we did have quite a few discussions of, okay, what if we try this and what if we try that? Like that we'd film just slightly different angles or slightly different shots, and like in the end, this is how we like how it is. That's how we settled with it. Which yeah, I think we got it right without it being too preachy. Hopefully,
Yes, no, I didn't feel that at all. So no, well done on that. It works very well. Look, congratulations on the film. We've been speaking to
thank you.
Damian Hussey, who is the writer-director of Girls' Night Out, now available as a digital release and on DVD, Blu-ray, you mentioned, and
Yes, yep.
excellent. So it's available, courtesy of Bounty Films. And Damian, thank you so much for talking with me.
Thanks so much for having me on.
Pleasure. All the best. Bye bye.
Thank you.